You know what makes a good bourbon?
Black cherries?
Yes. And right now I have one, which is not making this a good one.
But more,
there we
more have
go.
arrived.
That's what I'm talking about.
Look at that. It's
That's
beautiful.
Look at that. It's fantastic. The best.
Made it healthy, right? Fruit?
I got fruit.
That
Thank you.
How are you guys doing today, my little salty friend?
Good, how are you?
I'm well. Are you guys doing a podcast?
We are.
It's live. Are
You
you
wanna
streaming
join us?
live?
Yeah, let's say hey. Let's say hey. She's down. We're live at the JW Marriott in 3, 2, 1.
Boom.
How's it going, guys? Welcome to Bourbon and Real Estate. I am here with a very special guest, my friend Gary Ashton, the #1 team in the world.
No. Remax team in the world.
Remax team in
If
the world.
it's team, then there's other people that might come claim that legitimately, but #1 Remax team.
#1 Remax team in the world. And Gary has a very special old fashioned that he's drinking on today.
So the thing is, it's healthy because it's got fruit.
And I'm drinking some 10-year
Cheers.
Rip Van Winkle. Cheers. Oh yeah.
Brought to you by Nashville Barrel.
That'd be good if they actually did sponsor us.
I am going to introduce you because he's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, you showed me the client gifts.
Yeah, and his wife is actually on my team.
Ah, all right.
Yeah.
So we are down here in Austin, Texas at the Remax Broker Owner Conference, and thought it was a great opportunity to have Mr. #1 here on Bourbon and Real Estate to talk about, just all things.
Bourbon and real estate.
You got it. So, Gary, your team's huge now.
Yep.
How many are on your team?
180 to 190. We never know. It's a fluctuating number, but around about just under 200. How about that?
And when I first met you, I think your team was like 45 people,
Yeah, probably.
which is still a huge team. What was the vision behind this to say, I want to be #1 in the world and get that many agents on a team?
I don't think I had the vision to be #1 in the world. I think I wanted to be #1 team in Nashville. That was really what I wanted to be.
Sure.
And then #1 in Tennessee. And then when I started looking, oh, you're #9 in the Remax organization now. So, and then I saw that the #1, which was Ryan O'Neill back then, 2-3 years ago, 4 years ago, was #1, and that made him #1 in the world. So I was, that's
I can
good.
do that.
Yeah. So, so then when we became #1 in the world. So I'm English. So when Americans say certain words, they stand out to me more. Like world is world. Like the. And so I can't say it in an American accent. #1 in the world. So I would always go #1 in the world. So
It sounds better that way.
kind of. Until now, that became a bit of a thing. New thing is to say How did she say it?
Globally.
Globally, yeah. So then I have to change my whole spiel. The #1 team in the global. No, #1 team globally. So what sounds better, globally or in the world?
We'll have
I'm
you
not
guys
sure.
put that in the comments.
Yeah.
That way he can rebrand.
So it wasn't a vision of that. It was just that really I like shiny objects. I like.
This is why we're friends.
Yeah, so I like to stay ahead of the curve, as it were. And really, the growth of the team was because I got too many leads all of a sudden. So that's when I realized I needed to give out those leads.
Get more people on the team.
And so when I first started, I was just, I went from 1 or 2 leads a day, which I could handle, to getting 20 leads a day. That's when I realized, I can't handle these. So that's when I realized I got to give those out like a hot potato. Like, whoa, you. And I was just giving them out to anybody in the brokerage. This is when I was at another brokerage before Remax.
Sure.
And then that's when I realized that I give a lead to you, and then I see you 2 weeks later and say, what's going on with that lead? And you go, I don't know, just
called him once.
Yeah, but the thing is, you weren't invested in that lead like I was because you got your own business.
Right.
That was just something that I said to you, do you want it? And you went, yeah, I'll take it. But then you wouldn't do anything with it. So that's when I knew I had to start the team, and that's when I went to Remax, and that's when it just fell out of my pocket.
No, I'm just making sure you didn't need it.
And then that's when I started the team, and that's when I realized, you had to become in a closed environment because I want to be able to see what you've done with it and see the back end and see if you've actually
Accountable. Hold agents accountable.
That's all it is. It's just accountability, not in a bad way, but in a let's see what's going on with this, and then just always looking at different lead sources because you always want to diversify. So pay-per-click, and then SEO, and I think we were talking about this the other night. I started SEO 2003 is when I got my first site.
It's crazy.
So being back that long, I always say you've luck, vision, and money. So I had the luck to be starting real estate in 2001. Had the luck for the IDX to start in 2001. I had the vision to go, maybe I should get a website and start trying to do that for myself. And then you have to have some money to be able to do that. So luck, vision, and money. And then I just kept putting money back into the site, building the site, doing the SEO, and then getting to the point now, where we're getting 10, 11,000 people a day coming to the site.
That's crazy.
Which they don't all register, but you got repeat traffic, but we're getting a lot of leads. And then that opens up the other doors, and there's Mrs. Beagle. What's up, Mrs. Beagle?
Hello.
We're doing a podcast.
Doing a little bourbon and real estate.
There you go.
Going back to when you started your team, and obviously you had too many leads, couldn't keep up with them. I mean, what was your first hire? Was it an admin or was it a buyer's agent?
So actually, the reason I know this because somebody asked me this just a couple of weeks ago. So this is back when, like, you bootstrap and everything, right?
Nobody had teams.
I agree with that because there was no manual to read. Like, so what do I do? How do I? I don't think there was many teams. So the first person I actually paid, I tried to do it with agents, new agents, as they joined the team. I tried to make them the lead manager, as it were, to give out the leads. And that worked for a while, but then I realized that I got to have somebody do that full time. So then I had a lady, I knew her husband, and he was really techy, and that's how we met. And she was, she just had a baby, 6 months old, whatever, but she was super techy too. And so this was a perfect job. So like working remotely now that I think about it, that's what she was doing. And so yeah, and we would commute on MSN Messenger, communicate MSN Messenger. So that's how leads would come in. She'd ask me, and I'd say, "I'll give it to so-and-so."
All manual at that point.
Then we started putting the team all on MSN Messenger. Yeah, so my first hire was a lead manager, essentially. Yeah,
that's great.
Obviously, not every lead is going to pan out. You might not get the job that was bringing you to Nashville or whatever. So if you understood that, my other version is essentially tennis ball machine, because everybody knows those, right?
Yeah.
So each ball is a good lead, and I can catch the lead, and I will put it here. Catch the next one, put it here. When you get to like 15, you start full. You bringing more cherries?
You doing okay?
I'm doing good.
Doing great.
More cherries.
When you get to 15, no, I'm kidding. When you get to 15, then the balls you can keep taking the next lead, but then then they start falling through. And these are all good leads. And then what happens is you've got all these leads all on. You're still taking every single lead because you can make that first call. You put it here, I'm going to call that later. First call, I'm going to call that later. You keep taking the shiny object, which is the new lead, and then you forget about this. So that's what I'm saying. When you get to the point where you've got too much falling through the cracks, that's when you need a team, because you take the lead and then instantly you give it away. And so what I used to do was I would take every call, And then I'm English, so then you would hear him go, "Now where are you from?" And so I was able to make connections with a lot of people. And then I would say, "So when you're coming into town, great. I'm gonna connect you with Tyler. Tyler is the Brentwood expert." Everybody, "Oh, so I'm not going to work with you?" No, but Tyler is awesome. He knows more about Brentwood than I'll ever know. But there was that kind of awkward
Weird
little
disconnect, handoff.
So that's when I realized the best person to take the lead is the agent that's going to be working with that client.
Because they immediately can make that connection.
Yeah. So then we switch to that mode. But then we have the problem then of the agents again getting too many leads, not making the same calls, and then we move to the more of a ISA model, which is more of a they take the calls, they scrub the calls, and then hand out the leads to the agents when that person's ready to go. So it's the same thing, but you're not making as strong a connection, really, in a way.
Sure.
It's more of a...
But the amount of leads that you're receiving.
Yeah.
I mean, the stat that I saw this morning, one of the slides was 1 out of 153 leads will actually be buying this year, which is a ton. And, I mean, what is the optimal amount of leads that an agent going to get?
So I think it's... So Scott, have you met Scott?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so Scott Hull is he's our tech, I think his official title is Director of Growth or something like that, but he's like the tech guru.
Yeah.
And so he's got this system down where you figure out what an agent's actual capacity is, because I could probably handle 5 leads, but because you're way more efficient and you could handle 7 or 8. So we try to figure
Deborah
out
as an example, because she can handle like 20.
Oh, Deborah's, yes. Ridiculous. So each agent has their own capacity. So, but I think it's around 25 to 30 or 40 leads where you can actually dedicate time also for, but also that changes as well, because all of a sudden the 3 people that you've been sending emails for, all of a sudden they all want to come in the same day. I think 25 to 50 is probably the capacity of most people.
I actually laugh when I see like recruiting ads go to our agents that say, you're going to get more than 100 leads a month. And it's like, you couldn't possibly follow up with 100 leads per month if you're doing it properly.
No, because it's compound. So once you've got like 500, 600,000 leads in your database because you've been there, yeah, it's a struggle. Which is the hard thing for people to accept, because I'm the same way. No, give me another one. No, I'll take another one. Right. No, I'll take another one. No, I'll have another one. And then you realize I got too many. I'm not really. And that's the whole point about the plates keep falling until you have that optimum number, which is 10, 15 plates, and they're all spinning perfectly.
Love it. All right, I think
That's it?
I think you answered all my big questions.
No, come on, there's got to be one bigger than that.
What's your biggest struggle?
I don't. The biggest struggle, I think, is the amount that we have to spend it's the cost of acquisition of leads, right? So before I was just doing SEO, and that was it really. Now, as soon as you start bringing more and more people, there's actually cost of that. Then you need a bigger space, so there's cost of that. Then you start doing more advertising, more marketing, more cost. So when you actually look at the cost of the acquisition per lead, it's really high. So the way that I make money essentially is, as an agent on the team, you always make more money than me, even though the splits look like they're so skewed to me.
I know what you mean.
You take off all those costs and I'm left with this little bit, you're left with that. And then still you're saying, well, can I get a little bit more because, it's not been a good month or whatever. So
is your response?
I always say no, and I always kind of explain that.
No, I was going to ask if your response was, if you want to sponsor the Titans, you can. If you didn't know, Gary is the official sponsor of the Tennessee Titans, and
the Predators.
Yes. Hockey, right?
Yeah.
How?
Tennessee Titans Nashville Predators. I was trying to think, are they state or no? They're Nashville.
I mean, that's a big spend to become affiliated with an NFL team.
And it's too much, but if you don't have the systems in place and the volume of business in place, so in a way, it's like anything. You go to Vegas, as soon as you put money on the table, you're down, right?
Yep.
So it's going to take some time for that. You've got to gamble all day long to get some of that back, or you lose it. Yeah. So it's the same way with the advertising and marketing. You got to be willing to speculate, and sometimes that works and sometimes that doesn't. And it's really about developing relationships with people, because even though we paid to be the sponsor, you have to develop those systems with those people that are within the organization for them to understand that Tyler Morton is now signing from Green Bay. Well, I don't need that information after you've signed and you've been in Nashville for 2 weeks. I need that information when nobody ever knows about it, that you're in negotiations to leave Green Bay to come to Nashville, because as soon as they announce that in the papers, you got
everybody.
Realtors. Yeah. So it took once we kind of explained that to the organization, they go, oh yeah, that makes sense. And so now I know that you're moving from Green Bay to Nashville before anybody else does. But they know
that probably helps them too.
Well, so when they're negotiating, now they can say, we have a whole relocation department. We work with the number one Remax team in the world. But because funnily enough, a lot of NFL teams don't have that. So they sign, but it elevates them because they look like more of a professional organization, because they're actually thinking ahead of, they've got the car sponsors. We're going to give you a car, we're going to give you this, and we're going to get somebody to help you find homes. Even if it's a rental, we'll do that. So we're adding a level of service that a lot of people don't, and so it looks good because they've essentially got a relocation department. So they've seen the value in it as well. So, and they listen to us, and we don't get every single player, obviously.
Of course not.
We get a good percentage. So it's worked out well. And then we did the Titans. I think we're in our 8th year. Then we got the Predators
2 years ago.
2 years ago, which is odd because then we had the pandemic, but both work really well with us.
Awesome.
It's been good.
Gary, I'm out of bourbon.
Look, you finished it. Look. Does that mean I was talking more?
They don't want to hear me. They came to hear you. So, as always, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
We will definitely have to do this again at the next...
In Nashville, maybe. At a game.
Yeah. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
So,
cool.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for joining.
Cheers.